Good day, everyone, and welcome to our Advanced Fulfillment by Amazon session today. So, essentially, what we are going to do today is effectively a practical walkthrough of the Send to Amazon workflow in Seller Central directly by yours truly, going through the process, covering some tips and tricks that we can essentially cover. That will just honestly maximize your success with using our amazing platform and program called Fulfillment by Amazon, aka FBA. So, as I kind of vaguely mentioned, we'll be covering how to optimize your inventory strategy, improve your replenishment planning, and essentially streamline how you send products to Amazon for maximum efficiency and profitability. So before we get started with just basically the core objective of this presentation, we are just going to cover some tools and incentives that we are covering, not only within FBA, but the larger Amazon.co's seller central platform. And yeah, so we're going to highlight these amazing tools and incentives that is available to you as our amazing sellers. So first and foremost, a very quick highlight. If you are looking to protect your brand, IP Accelerator connects you with pre-vetted trademark lawyers at competitive rates. The best part is that you can access brand registry benefits while your application is still pending. More info regarding this is available on Seller Central. And naturally, this presentation deck will be shared not now, but a little bit later in the presentation for your own reference that you can just refer back to after this presentation of ours. Additionally, and this is essentially where it kind of focuses a bit more on what our sellers would worry about the most, which is the fees. So we are extending all our current fees, including from an FBA perspective as well, storage fees, fulfillment fees, removal fees, up until the 31st of March. What do these other fees kind of also include? This also includes our subscription fee that will only be R1 per month. We will also only still have that 5% referral fee across all product categories and fulfillment channels. And as I mentioned, we will also be extending our storage fees, removal fees, picking and packing fees, meaning that fulfillment fees that will be free, as well as that 90% off to ship benefit for all your inbounding needs in terms of getting your stock from you to our fulfillment centers at 90% off. That is extended up until the 31st of March 2027. You will see a clickable link that will basically just take you to the help page that will cover specifically to ship in the presentation deck that will be shared a little bit later in this presentation. So yeah, as you can see, we are heavily fixated on ensuring that our sellers are able to see the full benefit of what Seller Central and of course what FBA can offer. So yeah, these benefits will be available up until the end of Q1, aka up until March 31st of next year, 2027. Now, let's move on to just the basically, let's say you need some support that extends beyond our seller support team. You can utilize what we call our service provider network, aka SPN, which is essentially a group of vetted third-party professionals who can help with almost every step of selling on Amazon, from cataloging to advertising to FBA preparation and compliance. All our providers are pre-vetted and monitored, so you can trust the quality. And yeah, from here, you would just essentially visit the SPN page in Seller Central to browse the available providers by service type, reviews, and location. And on top of that, we are also offering an amazing additional incentive where we are offering free support to list 100 products, which can be where you can get between 10 to 100 products listed professionally at no cost to you. This is 100% Amazon subsidized and includes professional cataloging with titles, descriptions, and images. While we are in this presentation, go forth and grab your phone to scan this QR code on screen to visit the SPN page in Seller Central and connect with one of our participating providers. I would say though, the presentation itself will be focusing on FBA or send to Amazon walkthrough. So once you have scanned that QR code, once I've started the presentation, the ask will just be for you guys to open up your Seller Central, your own Seller Central accounts, so that you can follow along with me, potentially even create your own shipment along with me as well. So therefore just close off the service provider page once we do get to that part of the presentation. And then moving on, we do have an amazing Seller Success Center, which is based in Cape Town, where we are also situated, where you can just come through, whether you need support with account setup, listing improvements, or just building a brand store. Our team is here, a dedicated team that is here to help you every step of the way in terms of guidance and just kind of pointing you in the right direction. So we also offer virtual sessions for sellers across ZA as well. So just essentially book a slot online, and then we can go from there. But essentially, you can just go to find this page. Prior to you actually logging into your Seller Central account, you will get a nice pop-up that will give you that option to sign up and book a slot as well. And then before I move on, I just want to kind of cover some housekeeping rules, because naturally there are some of our participants still joining in. So I'm not sure if whoever just joined, if you missed out on some of the parts that I just covered, but we will, as I mentioned, I will be sharing a PDF deck of our presentation a little bit later that will cover everything in a nutshell as well. So first and foremost, all participants are automatically muted and cameras are turned off during the session. And as I mentioned, if you have missed anything, a presentation deck will be shared nearing the end of this presentation of ours. And we do have amazing pre-recorded or previously presented webinars, recordings of that is available on our Seller University ZA YouTube channel for you to view. That also covers fundamental processes in terms of send to Amazon, packing and labeling, listings, brand registry. The whole schmogoigel is available for you to view in your own time. And then if you do have any questions, I will be having a nice Q&A session part nearing the end of our presentation. And if you do have any questions in between, please go forth and answer it, whereby either I will just answer it quickly, or one of my amazing moderators will also just answer you during the chat as well. And then other than that, and what I also just covered a little just shortly, is essentially we do have an amazing service provider network that you can utilize as well, and you can find more details on these housekeeping rules I just mentioned in our chat as well. Or alternatively, just simply go onto Seller Central and you'll have access to this information as well. So let's get started. So a bit rude of me. I've been speaking for almost 19 minutes. My gosh. Or 10 minutes. Geez, I'm losing track of time. So a very quick introduction. I'm Tyler James. I am a senior FBA operations specialist for Amazon.co. So I've overseen the end-to-end inbounding experience for our sellers. So anything from the point of you creating your shipment to the point of your stock arriving and being made available for sale in our fulfillment centers, I oversee that. In most cases, any issues you do have will be routed to either myself or someone within my team that we will just basically work on prioritizing a solve for you. Essentially I just work on fixing any and all issues that can be encountered during that phase. And that's why I'm hosting this presentation for you guys today, so that we can get you guys as self-sufficient as possible with just the send to Amazon process. And if you have any questions in between, and just any tips and tricks I go through when I also help sellers with going through this process as well. So let's get into it. So in terms of the agenda, amazing question. So from an agenda perspective, we will just be going through like a nice send to Amazon walkthrough end to end. While I go through it, I will also kind of cover some best practices, common issues that can result in delays with your stock being made available for sale. And then if we have time, we will also be going through the two-ship process as well. So how do you go about booking a two-ship shipment? Like how do you book it? And then, yeah, as I mentioned, we will be covering some Q&A for any questions I am not able to answer during the course of this presentation. And yeah, naturally, we any like the most common trending questions I will also try prioritizing as answers to answer near the end of our presentation. So last but not least, if you do need any guidance in terms of getting to just like any upcoming webinars, any previously hosted webinars, any available resources we have in terms of PDF guides or anything to that extent, this video should be auto playing on your end. If it's not, essentially you'll go to the menu button in the top left corner of your Seller Central screen, go to the very bottom of the drop down or available options you may have, click on Learn, and then you'll be able to see basically any and all available resources, as well as any upcoming webinars, and yeah, just basically a one-stop shop for Seller University and anything you may need from a resource perspective, even if it's not related to FBA. So let's move on to, as I mentioned, I'm Tyler James, Senior FBA Operations Specialist overseeing inbounding, and I will be covering today's presentation. And an immediate ask for everyone in attendance. If you can, please open your Seller Central account and create a shipment with us, so that you can just basically get the full value of this presentation. As while you're watching, you can just follow along with me. Just grab a 1 or 2 ASINs of your choosing, create a shipment. Whether you're ready or not, here I come. But basically, jokes aside, you would effectively just try creating the shipment with me. And if you're not ready, or if you're not sure if you want to finalize the shipment, you can delete the shipment afterwards. And when you are ready, just go forth and try creating the shipment after the session as well. But as I mentioned, if you can, try creating the shipment with me as far as possible. And even if you can, create the shipment in full. And yeah, our requirement is if you're ready to ship your shipment, try to ship it out at least a week off, at least within a week after you've created it. And even better, if you're able to get your two-ship account, if you have registered on two-ship already, I'll even ask one of my one of my moderators to just post the help page link to our Amazon partner carrier program in our chat box as well, for you to just open and get the registration going as well. But yeah, enough of my rambling. Please get your Seller Central account open, as I will be sharing my screen right now. So, send to Amazon workflow, a walkthrough, sorry. So I'm just going to minimize the presentation, get that slides or my screen open, and then boom. So this is basically what the Seller Central page will look like from a seller perspective. This is my own test account, which is why you'll see at the tippy top of my screen, it will say Tyler test account. So immediately before I get started, I just want to cover just few tips and tricks, or immediate tip and trick is if you do have any FBA stock that has been inbounded. So firstly, when you do send stock to FBA, we do need a stock on hand in order for your FBA listings to go live. So in instances where there are issues with your listings, your stock will be moved to this fixed stranded inventory page. This is critical for you to clear, because essentially while your stock is stranded, this just basically means that your stock is not available for sale until you've resolved it. So let's click on mine so that you can kind of just see what this means. So a few things, like in random cases, so like with mine, I tried listing this Attack on Titan manga box set. I am not the brand owner of this product, and I didn't go forth and get the approval needed in order to get this done. So because I didn't get the needed approval, the stock got moved out of available and moved into stranded. So this is where you may randomly get qualification required, or you may get approval needed which you can easily just request for approval, or you can click on this drop down where you can create a removal order in the case where you're not able to solve it. Additionally, your stock can also be moved in instances where there's listing problems. So if there's an issue with, let's say, you inbounded your stock to FBA, but you decided, okay, let's convert my listing back to MFN. Problem with that is you have stock in our warehouse that was allocated to an FBA listing. Once you move that listing to MFN or FBM, aka fulfilled by merchant, we don't have a listing, an FBA listing anymore to code that stock to anymore. So the stock will be moved to stranded up until the point where you can relist as FBA again. Further to that, in my instance, we will also pick up issues where your product is either priced too low or priced too high as well. So this is where it is critical that you do ensure that, which is also a great mechanism on our end, because once we see that competitively your product is priced too low, or maybe you may accidentally priced your product to R1 when it was supposed to be R100, we will move it to stranded so that you can fix that issue to avoid cases of unwarranted orders for a product that is priced too low. So this is where go to fix stranded inventory so that you can fix these issues as soon as possible. So enough of that. Let's open up. Let's get the shipment started. So we're going to click on the menu button in the top left corner of our screen, hover over inventory, and then click on manage all inventory. Now, from here, you will by default be moved to, or by default, you will only see your fulfilled by merchant listings most cases. Randomly, you may also see that it will automatically be set to all. In my case, or in your case, especially in the event you haven't yet converted some of your products to FBA yet, it's amazing as you can then go forth and, let's say, grab this product, select group action. In case of you want to convert multiple products to FBM or FBA, sorry, you'll click on select group action, and then you can opt for convert to fulfilled by Amazon. Now, once you've converted to Amazon, you can then filter to fulfilled by Amazon, where all your FBA listings will then appear for you to then create your shipment with. Now, because I've already selected these products before on the fulfilled by merchant case, I'm just going to cancel so that I can just select a new set of products. So from here, I'm just going to grab, let's see, I'm going to create a small shipment. So I'm going to grab this out of stock sunscreen. I'm also going to select some biotech body lotion. And then I'm also, let's select this over 300 milliliter lighter butane gas refill as well. Now from here, we can click on select group action, and then there should be an option that says send/replenish inventory. However, you may have seen before that I had this maybe a listing that I moved to one of our channels called Salaflix. So I'll just select two products for now. Then I'll show you as well another feature where I can add more products to that, to my shipment. So I'm going to click on select group action. So I selected the sunscreen and selected this biotech lotion. Then I'm going to click on select group action and then click on send/replenish inventory. So let's open this up. Now, while it loads, I just want to drive an additional fixation. Two things. One, it's especially from an FBA perspective, you may see that there may be random instances where you send in your stock, but issues that you may have not encountered on MFN or FBM, aka Easy Ship, before, you may encounter on FBA. This is primarily due to the fact that we do have a warehouse full of staff that kind of, as the stock arrives, we do validation checks. So in instances where your stock arrives, we see that, okay, let's say for this biotech lotion, on your listing, it says that your product, the product is expirable, but the physical product that arrives says it doesn't. There's no expiration date. There's not a shelf life indicator. There's nothing showing that this product would expire. That will then result in a listing mismatch. And because of us, obviously, we're trying to make sure that the customer experience is maintained. We do not want a product arriving on the customer's end. The customer now needs to think, okay, will my product expire? How long can I keep the product? oh, I ordered a blue product, but the product on the listing says yellow. Oh, I ordered a blue product, but the physical product I'm receiving is yellow. Problem. So we try to make sure that any instances where there's a mismatch between the listing that will be available to the customer versus the physical product we are receiving um, matches up completely, it will result in your stock being moved to what we call problem solving, so that we can solve that issue in terms of the listing to maximize our listing accuracy between the physical product and the listing information. So I would say to maximize your success on FBA and kind of take preventative action, always make sure that the physical stock you're sending in matches up identically to the physical product you're sending in matches up identically with your listing information. So if you're checking your listing asks you, is your product expirable, yes or no? You will say no if the physical product doesn't have an expiration date, and vice versa. If there's an actual expiration date on the product, for example, and the listing information asks, is your product expirable? You will say yes. And if it asks, okay, is the expiry date on the product? You will say yes, expiration date on product. So you won't be asked, for example, from an expiration date perspective, the actual expiration date. You'll only be asked for that while we create the shipment. As you will see, it asks you year expiry, and it asks you for the year month date. That date needs to be more than 105 days to ensure that we have at least 3 months to sell your product. And I mean, naturally, if you're working on advertising, for example, you're driving deals on your accounts, you are kind of pushing external marketing to drive more views and traffic to your listings on Amazon, your product shouldn't be staying in our warehouse for longer than 3 months. But that's why we have that mechanism in place, so that in instances where your stock does stay there for longer, that we won't have products that we would have to potentially dispose of because it's expired, so we can't sell it anymore for you. So just instances like that. But the fundamental message I want to communicate to everyone in attendance and all our sellers in general: make sure that your listings matches up with the physical products you are sending. Very, very, very important. That is one of the keys to ensuring your FBA success and to avoid delays with your stock being made available for sale. But yeah, so on that point, let's get the shipment created. So firstly, what I am going to just kind of communicate is, as you would have seen on my manage all inventory page, I selected 2 of the products, which is why it's falling under this bucket of pre-selected SKUs, right? Now, let's say, for example, I decide, I want to add more products to the shipment. I can click on all FBA SKUs. Okay, when it decides to load. Okay. Okay, this is incredibly awkward. But effectively, just so that while we wait for this thing to load, when you do start your FBA shipment for the very first time, you may not immediately see all the pieces of information like that I would be seeing effectively, right? That is because if you're creating a shipment for the first time, you have to make sure that you add in a ship from address. Once you add in your ship from address, all the pieces of information you'll need will be made available for you. Additionally, if you do want to, so obviously you may be let's say, for example, anyone in attendance may be a seller that has a few hundred listings that they want to ship, a few hundred SKUs or ASINs or products that they want to send in one go, 10 units each, and you can't select them one by one because obviously from a time perspective that's going to be taxing. You can click on this option that says file upload. Now I'm going to clear quantities. Now this is a very seamless and faster route you can follow, just so that you can just list your products in bulk, and you can do it. You can do up to 1,500 SKUs at a time. If you do have more SKUs you want to inbound, I would strongly advise, or the system won't honestly allow you to send in more. So you will have to stick to 1,500 SKUs. If you do want to send in more SKUs for your shipment, you will have to create a secondary shipment or a third shipment. For example, if you have 1,500 products you want to send, for example. Now, if you do require the template, or you can just, so if you don't have any product that expires, for example, you can deselect this box. If you are sending in multiple products across multiple boxes of stock, so 3 different products in one box, 10 different products in another box, and you're not sending case packs, meaning you're not sending in one SKU of 100 units per box, you can deselect this as well, and then just generate and download the generate and download the template. And then the only pieces of information you'll actually need is the SKUs and the quantity per SKU that will be asked for in the template. You save the template, and then you can upload via this upload completed file here. And then it will just load the products in this pre-selected SKUs field, and then you'll be good to go. Now, for our example today, I'm just going to create a shipment of 3 products, and then we can go from there as well. So I am going to just go back to this pre-selected page. Let's just open this up. Okay, I'm just reloading. Okay, so I'm going to go back to pre-selected SKUs. Now, I am just going to grab this mini speaker. I'm going to make sure I'm selecting individual units. So this test K1 is one of my packing templates I created. So packing templates is essentially if you are sending case packs. So this is essentially if you're sending one SKU, but multiple units in a single box of stock. So for this example, I create one. So in this packing template, you'll select, so you'll click the drop down, click on create new packing template. Then you can name the template to, let's say, low season. So some sellers may have 2 packing templates, one for high sales, like let's say a mini Bluetooth speaker that's close to Christmas, for example, and you're expecting that, okay, based on my last 3 months of sales, this product sold amazingly, and I foresee that for Black Friday or Cyber Monday, for example, that I will see an uplift of sales. So I'll have a high volume template. For example, units per box, I'll say 50. Box dimensions, so this is the box in which these 50 units will be housed in. I'll say it's 50 will be the length, 40 will be the width, and 30 will be the height of this box. And box weight housing all these 50 units will be 5 kg, for example. And then the prep category. Now this is a Bluetooth speaker, so this is not an adult item, right? So you'll see conveniently, based on the prep guidance we are offering or prep you select, we will also give you some convenient prep guidance for you to follow as well. Very critical, so that you don't over prep your products, and you also make sure that you're meeting our basic requirements in terms of prepping. So in our case, this is speakers. So I'll say it's fragile, because you never know, like an electronic item, it falls, for example, anything can go amiss, the thing can crack, or electronic component within can break off, rendering the product useless, for example. Then you'll just follow this prep guidance. So in my case, I'll just save, and I'll make sure that the barcode is scannable after I've done the prepping. So after I've bubble wrapped this Bluetooth speaker, I'll print out the product label that Amazon has provided to me, paste it on the prep unit, on the bubble wrapped unit, so that when the stock arrives at our warehouse staff can scan that label and then log it into our system and make that unit of stock available for sale. So I'll save, and then save again. There we go. Now, you may have seen as well where it says who preps units and who labels units. I would always strongly advise, if you do have your own manufacturer barcodes, always opt for you to do the prep and labeling yourself as seller, not Amazon, because we do charge a per unit fee for prep and labeling services, which can become quite costly, especially if you're selling products, let's say, of 100 Rand. A prep and labeling service can range from 8 Rand to 40 Rand per unit. So I wouldn't advise following this or utilizing the service, especially if you're operating on low margins. Typically, the only time I would honestly advise using prep and labeling is if you have high margin products. So you're selling the product at a high margin. And if you have a product that's, let's say, 3,000 Rand or more, and you have, of course, high margin, so that the case of if you subtract the 5% referral fee, the cost of getting your stock inbound to our warehouse, and you still have enough margin to play with, and you have too much stock for you to do the labeling for you, do the labeling yourself, you can opt for us to do it for you. So you can opt for it, but honestly, I strongly advise our sellers do not. Just do it yourself. So as you will see, I set this high volume template in effect. Now, because I've indicated that, okay, I am sending X amount of units of stock, I'll only be asked for the amount of boxes, right? Because I already indicated that per box, I'm sending in 50 units. So I'm going to click on ready to send. Ooh, now this is an amazing use case as well, that something that you may commonly see. So all our sellers are given a 1 cubic meter of space to use every month. So that's for 1 cubic meter of space for standard size products and 15 cubic meters for oversized products. So standard size products is any product that's smaller than 45 by 34 by 26 centimeters and doesn't weigh more than 12 kg. So that's standard. And oversized products is products that's greater than that, but doesn't exceed 101 by 55 by 40 centimeters. Now, if you do get this error message, immediately raise a seller support case by going straight to the option of help in the top right corner of your screen. Click on get help and resources and create a seller support case asking, I need more capacity so that I can get my stock sent to Amazon. Do that immediately. Typical SLA for this to be actioned is 24 hours. So therefore, get that sorted out so that you aren't stuck with cases of you not having enough space and basically inhibiting your ability to send more stock to our fulfillment center. Sorry for that. So once you've requested for that additional capacity, you will just need to, in my instance, you will see that once your seller support case is actioned, we will get back to you within 24 hours. And then if you, let's say, for example, you're still stuck on this very same page, just refresh. Just need to, let's see here. Let me just refresh my screen. All right. And then modify or remove, or you can just click that, add one box, ready to send. And then boom. Once your capacity is increased, then the error will be cleared and then you'll be able to proceed onwards. So from here, so that's one box sorted, right? One SKU. Now I'm going to just add 2 more SKUs, but I'm going to add those as individual units. So I'm going to send in this pack of batteries, right? So I'm going to select the pack of batteries. I'm going to just send in 20 units. You know what I mean? 20 units of that. So I'm going to click on ready to pack. Now you'll see here as well, prep required. There is automatically a one for the very first time of you sending your stock to FBA, you'll be asked to provide what type of prep this product requires. Now, be very specific. In cases of the product fitting that criteria, select it and then make sure that the prep guidance we give you is followed to the T. Now, in instances where the product does arrive, like you already have your own packaging, the product is already boxed up, like it's one of, like, let's say it's a mug. The mug already comes bubble wrapped. It comes in its own protective box, but it's still a fragile item. Make sure you select fragile. But now if it's a product like let's say a PlayStation 5, for example, the product already comes boxed up. It already comes padded. You can opt for the prep requirement that says no prep needed. So because the product already comes prepped, quote unquote. However, if you do want to make sure that, especially if it's a case of, let's say, Funko Pops or product that a consumer would want the box to also be in a very good condition, you can also opt for a prep category that says fragile, whereby you just need to then ensure that that prep guidance is followed. So my core message is just, you don't necessarily have to follow the, like, if it's a product that already comes prepped, you can just say no prep required. But if you want to make 100% sure that everything is perfect and the product is handled to the utmost of care in our warehouse, you can select fragile and then just make sure you follow this prep guidance we give you for that particular prep category. So now that we have that covered, so now we have two products, two SKUs. Now I want to add a product that expires. So the sunscreen, as you would see, I have set the product as no prep required. And because I did this before, I created the shipment before, selected this prep category, I don't need to do this again. So once you do it once, you don't have to redo it. Now I'm going to select units. And because on my listing, I said that this product expires, which you should, to make sure you maintain that listing, 100% listing accuracy, I'm being asked for an expiry date. So I'm going to say expiry date is, as I mentioned earlier, expiration date should be no less than 115 days. Why 105 days? Weird number, right? Why not 100? Why not 200? It's because we give you 3 months, so 90 days, plus an additional 15 days, just so that our warehouse staff can basically still have a bit of wiggle room in terms of going to our warehouse, finding the unit, fulfilling it to a consumer. So it's just a bit more wiggle room for our warehouse staff. But so it's 3 months, aka 90 days, plus an additional 15 days, hence the 105 days. Now, so naturally, you saw I just randomly selected the date, right, on the calendar. For you, be as specific as possible, especially if you're buying stock from a supplier, and that supplier gives you, let's say, a expiration date for an entire batch of stock you are sending. Be very specific, as specific as possible, up to the month when it expires. So yes, so now from here, we're going to click on ready to pack, right? And as you will see, we got this, you know what I mean? We have now 2 products, aka 3 products that is ready to send. Now, you'll see now, because I selected individual units, we have additional step called pack individual units. Now, with pack individual units, I'm just going to indicate what the box content information is of the products I am actually sending, right? Now, because for one of the products, remember, I indicated that I'm creating a packing template, right? I have indicated the amount of units I'm sending. Only one product is being sent in one box of stock. This product by default will then skip pack individual units because I already indicated the box content information of one of the boxes. So this box doesn't need to be in pack individual units, because with a pack individual units or step, I'm going to be indicating that, okay, these 2 products, how are these products going to be split? Is 10 of this Torcraft batteries being boxed in one box, and 2 of these sunscreens are going to be boxed together, or will I be boxing them up separately still, or will I be just sending, because the boxes I have is a little bit too small, I'll only be sending, let's say, I'll send all 20 of this alkaline Torcraft set in one box, but then I'll be adding 1 sunscreen in that box as well. So you are basically, in pack individual units, you're saying that how many of my SKUs and its quantities is going to which, in how many quantities of boxes. You're just basically giving us a view of what is going in what box, basically. Now, naturally, this is a very simple example. Imagine you're sending in 20 different SKUs. This is where that pack individual units becomes critical for you to be specific, especially so that our warehouse staff can just know what goes in what box. When we do unbox it, we can just scan the products, and then we can immediately and instantly start scanning the products in. So I hope that makes sense. And I would say you'll see that once I move on to step 1B, step 1B is the most trickiest out of the center Amazon processes or steps. Once you master these 2 steps, the rest of the process is incredibly easy. So I would have you guys, whoever's following along with me and whoever will be naturally following the steps that we've gone through today by yourself, master step 1 and step 1B to the T. even watch previous webinars if you kind of need a refresher after our session, as it does get, especially if you're sending more SKUs, it's imperative that you master this now rather than later, especially if you will be scaling your business and sending more stock month on month or week on week. Now, let's move on. So what have we done? I have said, okay, I'm sending in 2 products as individual units, and I'm sending 1 box of stock in a single box with 50 units in that box, right? And I've already indicated it's ready to pack. I've already indicated what the prep is for them. We are ready to move on now, right? Now, before I move on, make sure you print all your SKU labels. So I'm going to click on print all. Now, I have a few options of labels I can select. I can choose from 21 up until 45 up labels. Most of our sellers use 45 up labels. You can most definitely just select this, print all, and then this file will be generated in a PDF file that you can just simply print out using a printer. And if you maybe have your own label paper, you maybe purchase from a different store, that you can then, or from Amazon, we do sell 45 up label paper that you can then print our labels on, peel them off from the label paper and adhere to the products, as I mentioned, on the prepped product. So if you have a bubble wrap product, paste the label on the exterior of the bubble wrap so that the label is fully accessible to us. All right. So let's move on to pack individual units. Okay. And before, small caveat, remember I highlighted that error message of the capacity, right? That you don't have enough capacity. If you want to get a view of what your capacity looks like, right? Click on capacity monitor here at the very bottom of your screen here. You'll see it a little bit here at the bottom where you can see how much capacity you have. Now, standard size, I currently have 10. So funny story. So I manage inbounding, right? So I also manage capacity increases. So any storage limit requests gets forwarded to myself or someone in my team. So I quickly, when I got that error, while I was stalling you guys, I quickly increased the capacity so that I can have 10. So you can see how quickly we can action the capacity. So the faster you can raise that seller support case, the faster either myself or someone in my team can increase that capacity for you so that you can create that storage or add that additional capacity for yourself. So be quick. That's basically as fast as possible so that you can get your stock sent to us as fast as possible as well. So this is where you can see the available capacity. And additionally, you can also see from the current cubic meters of space you're occupying, what's the estimated amount of units you are occupying in our warehouse. So currently, open shipment, I have 418 units estimate. That's the estimate. But yeah, essentially, this is where you can view what your current capacity is and what available capacity you have in our warehouse. So we're going to minimize this and we're going to proceed to pack individual units. So let's see what is happening. All right. And let's see, while we, I'm quickly just want to answer a very quick question. I see here we have a great question of, if selling furniture, for example, TV stand, does it have to be flat pack to be assembled by the buyer, or can it be delivered assembled? So as I mentioned a bit earlier, we have kind of like a storage type of standard and oversized. Now, the reason I mentioned that we only, with oversized, it must be smaller than 101 by 55 by 40, is that is the current biggest size we support for FBA. So from a seller perspective, you can send it either way, depending on your preference. However, as long as it fits within our size criteria. If it's smaller, if it fits within, or if it's smaller than at 101 by 55 by 40, you most definitely can send it as is, like assembled already. But if it doesn't, like if it's pre-assembled and it fits within, like if after it's assembled and it exceeds our maximum dimensions, rather send it or list it on Amazon as requiring assembly, so that you can send it through FBA and then just make sure that there's adequate instructions for the consumer or buyer to assemble it themselves, basically. But yeah, I hope I answered that part of the question. And let's move on to the rest of the steps. So now we're at step 1B, right? So first question you'll be asked, how many boxes will these units fit into? So I'm going to say multiple boxes will be needed. Then I'm going to click on confirm. Now you will have three options, right? Immediate option is enter through a web form, upload Excel file, and Amazon manually processes box contents. Now, the Amazon manually processes box contents is a great option. We haven't really sold it to our sellers as much, primarily because of our warehouse capacity. Because essentially what will happen is you opt for this option, then all you would have to basically is, now you'll see this error because I opted for case pack. I use a case pack template of one of my SKUs, but if you have multiple units and you opted only for individual units, all you would have to do is, one, advise how many boxes you're sending and what the sizes of each box is, but we won't then ask you for what actually is in each box. What you will just need to make sure of is you labeled each product correctly, so that when the stock arrives, our warehouse staff will then do that box content information checks ourselves, just unbox the units, scan each label, and then just process it like that. It would, if you opt for this, you can expect maybe an additional day, I would say, in terms of us processing your stock and making it available for sale, which is honestly why we haven't really recommended this as an option, but it is honestly an option for our sellers to utilize. Now, that was a small caveat. So in summary, you can use this if you want to. But for this presentation, I'm going to use the option of enter through a web form. Now, enter through a web form option is only usable for instances where you're sending boxes less than 10 boxes. If you're sending more than 10 boxes of stock, this is where you'll use the upload Excel file. Now, the upload Excel file process is basically, it's also like an Excel file. You fill it out. And basically follows a very, practically the same steps we'll be following through web form, but obviously just on an offline Excel file where we will have to indicate how many units you'll be sending per box, what product is going to box 1, what product is going to box 2, what's the quantity of product A going to box 1 and 2, etc., etc. That's just basically where you would be giving that information to us. But to give you a nice visual indication of what that would look like, I'm going to say, I'm sending in 3 boxes, right? I'm going to say 3 boxes, then I'm going to open up web form. Now, this is basically the exact same view you'll get on the Excel file as well, whereby I'm going to say that, okay, in box 1, right, I am sending 3 units in box 1. And then in box 2, I'm sending the remaining 2 units. Because maybe I, as a seller, quote unquote, I have very small boxes. So I can't send all 5 units of the sunscreens in box 1, for example. Now I'm splitting it across 2 boxes. Now with the Storecraft, I'm going to say, because it's AA battery, so it's relatively small, right? So I'm going to say, I'm going to send 10 units in box 1. Actually, let's put in 5. Yeah, 5, right? 5 in box 1. Box 2, I'm also sending in 5. And then the remaining 10, because you'll see it also gives you a nice counter. The system won't allow you to save unless all of the units are accounted for. So as long as if it says 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 5, the system will continuously kick out errors saying that you still have stock that's left unaccounted for, which is a concern. So what we need to make sure of is it always says 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, or 1,000 out of 1,000 units. You know what I mean? Just to make sure that everything is accounted for. Now, there's still 10 unaccounted for. So I'm going to say in box 3, 10 units will be sent. So in terms of how you would actually physically be sending this into our warehouse, physically you will have 3 boxes. Physically you'll have 3 boxes that needs their own box label, which we'll be covering very shortly. And in those boxes, in box 1, you'll have 3 units of one product and 5 units of another product. And then in box 2, you'll have 2 units of one product, 5 units of another. And then in box 3, we'll only have 10 units of the Storecraft AA 4-piece set. That's basically, so physically, that's what it will be. 3 boxes housing 3 boxes of stock with different SKUs within them or different products. Now, in terms of the box weight, obviously this will be a bit more specific when you do it yourself, but I'm just going to say, it's sunscreen and batteries, right? So it shouldn't be too heavy. So I'm just going to say 2 kg. Right? Obviously, from your end as the seller, be as specific or as close as possible. You don't have to even be specific in terms of decimals. Just round it up, preferably round it up, never round it down. So if it's 2.5 kg, round it up to 3, etc. For example, right? Now, you'll see here, all 25 out of 25 products are accounted for. Now, in terms of box dimensions, so this is where I have 3 different boxes, but what if the boxes has a different dimension? Like one of the boxes is bigger than the other. This is where you'll add another row to indicate what the size is. Alternatively, all you can then do is say that, okay, this box is 50 by 40 by 30. And then you can then apply this dimensions to box 1, box 2, and box 3 by checking these boxes to say that, okay, this dimensions applies to box 1, applies to box 2, and applies to box 3. But as I mentioned a little bit earlier, maybe if box 1 is a bit smaller versus the other boxes, so I'll say that, okay, box 1 is a bit smaller, so I'm going to say that the box 1 is a little bit smaller, so I'll say this is 30 by 20 by 20, right? It's a very smaller box. Then, instead of checking the box here to indicate that, okay, this line of dimensions applies to box 1, I'm going to deselect this and say that, okay, these dimensions I've inputted here applies to box 1. So I'm going to check this box here, right? Then I'm going to click on confirm packing information. Now, as I mentioned, as this web form, it applies, same process will apply to the Excel file route. Same dealio. We'll, as I've shown a bit earlier, where that file upload process, as I mentioned, if you want to list indicate multiple products, same deal with this box information, box content information. We'll give you an option to download the template. You fill in the template, and then you upload, and then you'll get the similar green check mark or indication here that says, cool stuff. It works. The file was perfect. No issues. Our system is also very intuitive in cases of where maybe you missed a piece of information or something is amiss, like something doesn't make sense or a unit is unaccounted for. You will get an immediate error saying that, sorry, there's something missing. So just make sure that you keep an eye on that. And then from here, so we are clear, box content information was accepted. We can click on confirm and continue. Now, as you will see now, I'm going to fly through the step 2 and 3 now because it's incredibly easy from here. Which is why I will drive in the emphasis that master step 1 and step 1B. Step 1 and step 1B is the toughest, which where you will easily, when you create your shipment for the first time, you take 30 minutes, 25 of that 30 minutes will be spent on step 1 and step 1B. So step 2, confirm shipping. Ship date, this is when I expect to hand it over to a carrier. So let's say I'm going on to 2Ship. I've asked 2Ship that I booked the shipment on 2Ship. 2Ship typically, after you book the shipment, they collect within the next business day. So let's say, for example, I'm going to finish the prepping of my products Friday. They only collect during weekdays. So I'm finishing this Friday. So I'll say that, okay, I'll finish the prep Friday. I'll do the 2Ship booking on Friday as well. So I expect 2Ship will collect this on the 4th, being the Monday. So I'll click on Monday. That's when the carrier I'll be handing it over to the carrier because 2Ship will be coming. The 2Ship carrier, being either the courier guy or DPD laser, will come and collect it on Monday. Now, shipping mode. This is where if this is me indicating, am I just sending boxes of stock or am I sending the boxes as pallets? In my case, it's a small shipment. So I'm just going to select small parcel delivery, SPD. I'm just sending in 3 boxes of stock, not 3 boxes of stock that's palletized. Then from here, this is where merge workflow. This is basically an option only for palletized shipments where I'm saying that, okay, I have 3 separate shipments of pallets and I want to consolidate it into one. And I want to merge all 3 shipments into one workflow whereby I'll be sending all 3 in a single consignment. But for small parcel deliveries, this option is not available. After this is where conveniently on the process, will redirect you to our help page where you can also get more information on 2Ship, how to register, etc., etc. And then it will redirect you. Now, this is where you can choose self-ship by seller. This is if I decide I'm going to load my car with my stock, I'm going to deliver it myself to either our Cape Town warehouse or Johannesburg warehouse, whichever one I was allocated with. Or I'm going to click on other. Other as in I'm going to use 2Ship. 2Ship will manage that delivery and outbound logistics for me. So I'm going to click on other. Now, this is super important. Ship from and ship to. Ship from is the address I inputted earlier. Ship to is the address to is the warehouse that I was allocated with. This isn't an option that our sellers has the option of choosing. We give the warehouse to where you need to deliver to based on available capacity, customer base location, customer demand for the given product or product type you're selling in that given region. So if a customers likes to buy batteries a lot in Cape Town, you may be most likely allocated the Cape Town warehouse. And then we manage the stock rebalancing between the warehouses ourselves. So you don't have to worry about that. You will only always deliver to one warehouse, and then we manage the distribution of stock ourselves for you. Now, from here, we can click on accept charges and confirm shipping. Now, because we didn't opt for prep and labeling services, the cost will be zero. And because the costs of 2Ship will be managed on 2Ship's platform, there will be zero shipping fees as well on our end. Now, print box labels. This is the very last step whereby you'll just be asked where you can make some minor changes. Like if you click on here, this is where you can download your labels again. You can add up to 5%. You can make up to 5% changes to your shipment. And very, very important, I want to emphasize this for everyone in attendance today. We will be sending out comms and like communication to all our sellers, but for everyone in attendance to drive and ensure that there is like your stock is managed correctly, the carriers are delivering all your stock to our warehouses, and also minimize risks of your stock maybe getting lost in our warehouse. We are asking all our sellers to provide packing lists in every single box, in every shipment you'll be sending. Now, to get this packing list, you can simply download it here, whereby you can opt for the PDF, download it, print it out for us, and then put it into one of your shipment boxes you'll be sending, and then just mark the box with an X so that when the stock arrives at our warehouse staff will then take that box, open it up, and then take the packing list out, check the packing list itself, versus the stock you send in to make sure that you didn't maybe send in too little stock or too much stock. And then they'll then stamp the documentation, sign it saying that, okay, stock was received in X and Y quantities, and then give it back to your carrier so that the carrier can give it back to you as a seller. So touch wood, anything goes wrong, anything from a proof of delivery perspective, then you'll have that documentation that's stamped by our warehouse confirming that the stock was received. So very, very important that you just do that for us. But more official communication will be sent out, cascading this information to all our sellers as well. But starting off now, please go forth and do that for us. So we're going to X out of this. And then the last step is just, you can click on print, which will be the box labels. So these box labels is essentially the label that will go on each shipment box of stock you're sending, just so that, basically, in terms of labeling, you have the product labels that needs to go on each individual product that will be sent to our warehouse. And then you'll also be given a box label for every box of stock you're sending. And based on the amount of boxes you indicated on step 1B, you'll be given an appropriate amount of box labels on step 3 then of, okay, I indicated 3 before, remember, but I also had that packing template box as well. So I have 4 boxes of stock. So I'll by default be given 4 box labels to paste on each box of stock. This also just helps us track your stock effectively as it arrives, as well as track it effectively within our warehouses. FBA product labels is mandatory for all FBA stock so that we can, for every sale made, we can allocate that sale to you as a seller, and as an outbound order gets placed by a customer, we scan that label and then sale gets attributed to you and not some other seller or a vendor, for example. And then from here, the process is done. This is where the shipment is created, whereby after 30 minutes, your PO or all your FBA reference numbers will be generated. All your FBA IDs will be generated so that you can proceed with getting that 2Ship shipment created. Now, for the interest of time, I do see we're literally on time for 2. I would ask one of my moderators, if they haven't yet already, share the 2Ship registration guide so that you can just get registered on 2Ship. and get your shipments created through 2Ship, as I mentioned, just to get your shipments sent through and utilize that 90% discount. 2Ship does have an amazing customer service team as well. So if you do get stuck, just ask them. They will give you that step-by-step guidance. And if there's anything that they cannot solve, they will route that issue straight to myself or someone in my team to sort out for you as well. And then, yeah, from there, we will, for anyone who's willing to stay as well, I will also share or ask one of my moderators to share the PDF deck with you guys as well in the chat so that you can download it and keep it on hand for future reference. And then I'll also open up a survey for everyone to answer while I answer some questions that's in the chat as well, for anyone that's willing to stay with me maybe for the next 10 minutes. And then go from there. But I would say and just to emphasize, the content I covered today is a lot. I do get that. We will be covering more sessions like this going forward. So if you do see any upcoming webinars of this nature, please sign up because we will be covering a bit more, like make it a bit more strategic, because naturally the Send to Amazon process is a lot to cover. And especially if you're covering like tips and tricks, kind of expectations, in tools and incentives, it's a lot to cover. So I'm glad we got through the Send to Amazon process as well. But if you do get stuck, we do have a great seller support team. I would also say go back to our Seller University page as well. We do have pre-recorded animated videos for you to utilize. We do also have previously recorded webinars covering the Send to Amazon process, specifically packing and labeling, which is also a critical part of ensuring your FBA stock is received successfully. We do have a great webinar covering that as well. So please go through that as well when you do go through the Send to Amazon process yourself, if you didn't go through it now. And yeah, please. And with the survey I've sent through, provide us any suggestions you do have, so that we can just make sure that we're covering this as micro and as granular as possible, so that we don't kind of overwhelm you in terms of content. Because I will emphasize this: FBA is an amazing program to utilize, just so that you can scale your business while we manage the things for you, so that you can focus on other things. But it does take a bit of learning. And I would say, like, after your second shipment, after you finalize your second shipment, the process does get significantly easier. So just take your time, go through it the first time, take your time with the second shipment as well. And then you'll see the steps kind of gets incredibly easier. And you'll also see that there's these convenient links that like always takes you to learn more. There's always those escapes for help for you to utilize as well. So please. And we do have webinars that always comes through rotationally for you to attend as well. And if you're in Cape Town, come through to the Seller Success Center, whereby you can have one of our team help you. And maybe if I'm in the center, I can literally help you as well. So there's options for support if needed. Now, enough jibber jabber on mine. Let's get to some questions. So post your questions for me in our chat so that I can go forth and answer them for you. Otherwise, I'll just rely on one of my, I see the chats, the answers are listed here. Let's see. Okay, so this is an amazing question. What documentation does Amazon require for hazmat or restricted products like aerosols? A bloody fantastic question. So when it comes to like hazmat products, right? We call it a safety data sheet, which is procured from your manufacturer. So a safety data sheet effectively would show you, would list the ingredients of the product within the product, as well as the percentage of the ingredients within it. But essentially, this is something that can be procured from your manufacturer, so that we can kind of have an idea of, okay, the product has X and Y methane within it, for example, whereby we can then say that, okay, this product is more or less safe enough to store in our warehouse, but we're going to store it in a designated zone in our warehouse for safety purposes, but then we'll still be able to sell it on Amazon. So that's that. Alternatively, we do have an exemption process as well, whereby we would just effectively ask you for your first and last name, as well as I mentioned, like that ingredient list for products such as aerosols or like harmful chemicals, and in instances of electronics, anything that contains a lithium battery or battery requires a safety data sheet as well. And from an exemption perspective, we will also need your first and last name, as well as like a for electronics, we'll require what's the battery wattage, what is the type of battery, is it lithium ion, is it zinc, something to that extent, easily something that you can Google or procure also from your manufacturer. And then, yeah, you can go forth, fill in that exemption sheet, upload it. And I mean, if you do get stuck, just reach out to Seller Support. They'll also give you the resources you need, or just search in the search bar on Seller Central, whereby we do have help pages that covers this content as well in detail. But plain and simple, we need a safety data sheet from a manufacturer that we can use to classify your products for hazmat. Let's see here. And I do see a few questions specifically to, I'm a new seller, my account is healthy. Is there a waiting period to be eligible for buy box? Not necessarily from a buy box perspective. You just need to get your products listed, honestly. Just get it listed. And then, especially if you're on FBA, you'll automatically be eligible for the featured offer, aka the buy box. And I would say, just as an extra fixation on account healthy, like we do have a dashboard called account health. You should honestly not worry, but with account health, you are more affected by account health if you list your products through EasyShip or FBM, because instances like you shipping out your products late, instances where you ship your products defective, all affects your account health. However, if you're sending your products immaculately to FBA, we manage all of that for you. So aspects like account health doesn't affect our FBA sellers at all. So that's also kind of, I would say, an additional benefit or less of a concern for FBA seller, because they don't have to worry about account health. Just send your stock to FBA, we manage that component for you. So let's see what other questions. I'll answer two more questions before our extra 3 minutes is used. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Okay, it's just a bit. Okay, I remember we did answer that question on, like, if you're selling products that needs assembly and not assembly, or doesn't require assembly, like just as long as the product fits within our criteria, like size requirement, you can ship it either way, either one way you want. Just properly communicate in your listing that if it comes assembled or if it requires assembly. So that was that question. So this is an interesting question. So if you're not using FBA, do I use the Amazon prep and labeling? I would say yes, because even if you're using, so with FBA, you need to follow prep and labeling. If you're using EasyShip, EasyShip also has their own prep and labeling requirements, but you still have to prep and label the products and prep and label your box, like the customer order, to ensure that the product arrives in a immaculate and pristine condition on the customer's end. You don't want to send like a mug, a custom-made mug to a consumer or a buyer, and the mug arrives damaged, right? So that's why you do need to make sure that you prep and label the products correctly and as accurately as possible, so that it arrives correctly on the customer's end. So that also, because that is why we also fixate on prep and labeling a lot, because that will also reduce your return rate. Like the chances of a customer returning your product back to you because of damages is significantly reduced if you're prepping your products correctly. So just kind of make sure to drive that home. Just make sure you do that. And then that is basically the chunk of like the FBA, like the most trending FBA questions I could find and answer for you guys at this time. But I would just fixate on one more thing. Don't worry if you only have 1 or 2 units of stock you can send at a time. We do not have a minimum requirement of stock you can send. simply send what you have. You can send as little as 1 unit per SKU. As you saw, there's an option of individual units. You can send 100 units, for example, 100 different products, 1 unit each. Just send your stock to Amazon. Like, get started. As long as you get started, that is the core message we want to have for our sellers. Do not hesitate. Do not worry about if you're sending enough stock. Just send your stock to us as little quantity as possible, if you can allow. But try diversifying. So if you have 100 different SKUs, send 1 unit each, because you also want to experiment, see what sells, see what doesn't sell, so you can prioritize what sells better versus the rest. So that when you do scale your business, when you do sell more, that you can send more stock per SKU, because you saw that before, based on your experimentation, that you saw that this product sells better than the rest, so that you can just maximize your own sales. So yeah, that was essentially the presentation, everybody. Thank you so very much for staying with me in an extra 10 minutes. 11 minutes. I do appreciate everyone. And please, please, please reach out if you do need anything. Join our webinars going forward. I will be presenting more webinars as well, specific to FBA, and we do have excellent other webinars coming up. And yeah, just continue growing, and therefore use FBA if you do want to utilize those extra benefits we are offering, such as free storage, 90% off on inbounding, 5% referral fees, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, thank you very much again, everybody. Have a lovely, lovely rest of your day. And yeah, keep well and stay safe on your day. Thank you so much. Cheers, team. Bye-bye. Oh, and the survey will be staying up even after I leave. So take your time if you haven't yet answered the survey. But yeah, thank you, team, and have a lovely rest of your day.